Good evening. Today is Wednesday, August the 6th, and I'd like to call the regular meeting of the Oregon City Commission to order. Would you please do the roll call?
Commissioner Marl is excused. Commissioner Wilson?
Here.
Commissioner Mitchell?
Here.
Commissioner Smith?
Here.
Mayor McGriff?
Present. If you are able, would you please stand and join us in the flag salute? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I could make a comment about that, but I'm not. All right. One of the most wonderful things that we get to do as city commissioners is we get to swear in new Oregon City police officers, and it is our privilege and my pleasure to be able to do that. So we are going to do that next, and I'd like to call up Officer Hudson Eckrich. And I brought my official pin with me too.
Mayor, Commission, thank you. You're right, this is one of the best times in our careers when we get to swear in a new officer. And you might recognize Hunter's last name, Eric. His older brother, Hunter, started with us just over a year ago, and he's actually working shift tonight, so it's pretty cool. Hudson was born and raised in Canby. He attended Canby High School and was on the swim team. After high school, Hudson joined the Air Force, where he served as a special missions aviator on search and rescue helicopters. After 7 years of service, Hudson was honorably discharged and returned home to pursue his career in law enforcement. Joined today with Hudson tonight is his father, Doug, who is a lieutenant with Hillsborough Police Department, Doug's fiancée, Julie, brother Hunter, sister-in-law, Jordan, nieces, Finley and Charlie, and sister, Havlin. And then you might notice that Hudson's not wearing his badge, so a tradition we have after he gets sworn in, his father's gonna come up and pin the badge. So I'll turn it over to you.
And so we're gonna have, we have your two nieces in the audience, and we're gonna wave to them and say, "Hi, girls."
Hi, girls.
All right, so it's my pleasure. So would you raise your right hand and repeat after me? I, your name.
Hudson Eric,
Keep going.
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Oregon. I will abide by the Law Enforcement Code of Ethics and the department's rules and regulations, while faithfully performing my duties as a police officer for Oregon City, Oregon.
Congratulations.
Thank you, ma'am.
Now Dad's got to come on up. Let me move this. Sorry, yes, that was the mic drop, by the way. All right, so let's have you sign everything, and then we will get a picture with the commissioners. Do we want shirts for this picture?
Well, I hope so.
Well, I know, but I'm wearing a jacket, so if I need to take my jacket off, then I will take my jacket off.
We need to preface that.
Scott Wilson. All right, are you ready? They want to do the math, so we'll just, yeah, come on. So we'll just, we'll just do the turn, we'll do the model turn, we'll do the model turn. Look, yeah, so I said it's the model turn. So, just so you know, we all purchased t-shirts for the K9, what is it, the Friends of the K9, what does it say on the back? Friends of the K9 team. So we all have our official shirts, so get yours today. Thank you for that modeling thing there, Ronnie.
Blackmail material.
Blackmail material?
Yep.
It's probably only going to show up in the city stuff, or on, well, who knows what Jared will do with it. He'll probably put it on the city's website, so we're promoting it. All right, awesome sauce. All right, so the next item on our agenda is number 4, public comments, and we have a few folks. So these are for items that are not currently on the agenda. And I'm going to call up Tim Powell first. He has an item that is not similar to the other items. So you can do your first one.
Good evening, Commissioners and Mayor McGriff.
Is it on?
It is on.
Okay, perfect.
If green means on, it's on. I am here this evening.
Name?
Tim Powell, and I am Oregon City resident, and I am the chair of the Mcloughlin Neighborhood Association. I am here this evening to ask you for your help in a situation that we find ourselves in. We were granted a $2,500 enhancement grant from Metro Enhancement Grant Committee in, I believe it was June of this year, for printing costs associated with our neighborhood sale to be held August 8th, 9th, and 10th of this year. Once we received the contract from our economic development manager, we noticed the acceptance of this grant required us to purchase insurance for our event. Well, let me say first that we understand that this program changes over time, and what was required last year may not be the same as this year. We also understand that the city requires insurance for events to hold them harmless in case issues arise. In our contract for our $2,500, it requires us to have a $2 million of liability insurance for our event. But in our case, we have no event venue, we have no contracts with sellers, nor do we have anything to do with how people manage their individual sales at their homes, places, or business. This grant was for printing of signs, posters, and related materials only. Our only involvement is to create a listing of sellers, create a map, and provide signs to the individual sellers. I've contacted 2 insurance providers that told me that they could not provide insurance as there was nothing to insure against. I contacted both Ann and James in economic development and explained this, and was finally told last week that I needed to appear before this body to ask you to exempt us from providing insurance to collect on our grant money. So I am asking for your support in this request and asking that you exempt us for this requirement in the case for the reasons I've mentioned. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
I'm going to make an exception if you have any questions. Generally, we do not respond on public comments. Do you want to add this to general business under 9?
Yes.
Michael? Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do you want to just stay up there for the next one?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Just do the same thing we did before.
I will. Tim Powell, Mcloughlin Neighborhood Association. I am a resident of Oregon City. I am here in support of another speaker who will be here talking about the sidewalk situation in the Mcloughlin Neighborhood Association. And we are here to support his request, but I also wanted to make note of some of the things that we have done since your work session, excuse me. I have talked to Clackamas County, and we have tried to get involved with a grant from a CDBG grant, Community Development Block Grant. They have expressed interest in it. They have basically what they're looking at is homeless or in housing at this time, but they do have some additional funding, and this would fit into that. Not saying they're going to accept it, but the problem is it's not going to happen until 2026. They've used up their funds for this year. The other thing I wanted you to be aware of is that we have met with a couple different concrete contractors in the neighborhood and thrown out ideas as to how we can potentially make these concrete repairs more cost effective for the folks that have to do it. And some of the ideas that we've thrown out are, I don't know how to say it, but I guess it's kind of a bulk permit type of a program. Rather than have 2, maybe 3 people get involved in a permit, the contractor who does most of the permitting requests himself, it takes an awful lot of time to do that, to go through the whole entire process. So he would like to hopefully have an opportunity to speak with Public Works and the neighborhood and see if we can come up with a way that we can, A, cut the cost of permits, and B, where he can perhaps do larger sections at a time, thus saving money for those folks that need the concrete repair. We would be doing this in concert with the tree reimbursement program that you currently have. So that's what we've been doing. We're trying to come up with, think outside the box, try to come up with some ideas to help these folks who are, it's quite a bit of money. I know I've had to do it myself, so I do understand, and we just want you to be aware that we're not just sitting back. We are trying to do something to help. So thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Tim. Tyson, and then Michael, come on up to take one of the sides. So we'll just do it 2 at a time.
Hi, I'm Tyson, and I live in Oregon City. This might go a little bit over 3 minutes. I've been practicing, but just to warn, it might go a little bit over 3 minutes.
So name your whole name, even though I have it written down.
Oh, Tyson Brown.
Thank you.
Yeah, Tyson Brown. So, my family and I lived in Mcloughlin District for almost 10 years. I am here to advocate for the over 60 residents in the Mcloughlin neighborhood who were unfairly targeted by supposedly a single neighbor and now are being required by the city to spend a combined total exceeding $100,000 to replace decades-old infrastructure in the form of sidewalks. I have canvassed the neighborhood for hours to talk to my neighbors who are stressed, confused, and disheartened that the city has given no real support to the struggling residents of its oldest neighborhood. I have neighbors who fear potential liens being put on their houses because they cannot afford these surprise sidewalk repairs. I have talked to one neighbor who's been saving up for years to buy a generator so her family wouldn't go cold again during the next ice storm. However, she's instead spending thousands of this money to replace a 9-by-6-foot damaged portion of sidewalk not caused by a street tree, but by decades of wear and tear by joggers and neighbors walking their dogs. It feels like a portion of this commission knows that this situation is unprecedented in its origins, scope, and impacts, but wants to move on because they feel a solution would take too much work rather than getting creative and helping us. In the end, we implore you, the commission, to please consider the following support you could provide for your residents during this emotional financial crisis. First, we want the city to do more to reduce the cost of the permits. Having over 60 residents paying $200 each in permit fees seems excessive. That's a total of $13,000 to be paid to the city to then be allowed to spend another $100,000 in infrastructure repair. I know that there can be a slight reduction in permit costs if at least 3 residents pool repairs together, but this is complicated to do. It is hard to do this if you have residents who cannot afford the same contractors as their neighbors, or who are not ready to spend thousands on repairs at the same time, or who just can't get 2 other neighbors to join them. Even 2 side-by-side neighbors that are getting sidewalk repairs done by the same company on the same day can't get any reduction in permit fees from the city. There must be a way for the city to better reduce permit costs and get them down to the lowest level possible for all affected residents. Second, we want the city to review the timeline set up for residents to finish their repairs. It doesn't seem fair that we have a few months to find the money and then repair our sidewalks, while the city has delayed its own sidewalk repairs for years, such as the senior center and the firehouse, among others. Regarding city property sidewalk repairs, they seem to be allowed to be delayed for years, but when residents get their sidewalks spray painted, we have only a few months. We want the city to expand the timeline and officially commit to it. Finally, and most importantly, we would like the commission to seriously reevaluate expanding the sidewalk reimbursement program to include sidewalk repairs not only caused by street trees. This program currently only helps about 30% of Mcloughlin neighbors affected by sidewalk repairs, leaving most of us to lose sleep and pay thousands. As residents could not control city trees that damage their sidewalks, nor could the rest of us control the 2-inch sidewalks put in decades ago by Oregon City. The city is allowing more grinding, but acknowledges that more grinding causes sidewalks to fail sooner and require eventual replacement. Therefore, why not encourage replacement now, but with financial support? An expansion of this program may even encourage residents to repair the sidewalks on their own without randomly being targeted someday by a malicious neighbor. Please be creative with the allocated funds for the sidewalk repairs and schedule repairs and their reimbursements out over multiple years if needed.
Are you wrapping it up?
Yes, I am. Every neighborhood has unique issues and problems that need support from the city. Disasters come in all shapes and sizes and affect various portions of the city differently. A surprise crisis struck the residents of the Mcloughlin neighborhood, causing real pain, and we ask our city to help us. Reducing permit fees substantially, extend the timeline for repairs, and expand the reimbursement program for this unique and unprecedented situation would be the most helpful for the Mcloughlin residents. Please reopen this matter and put it on the agenda for reconsideration soon. Please do not forget about us. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
Next.
Hi, I'm Michael Sugar. I live in Mcloughlin. I'm also here to talk about sidewalks. I would echo the comments of Mr. Brown here, and I would add a couple of things. Sidewalks are an asset to our community. However, they are largely liability to the property owner, and the community, I think, ought to have a vested interest in protecting those sidewalks for walkability, for access to transit corridors, access to schools, and so forth. And I think for that reason, there is cause to consider expanding the financial support to beyond street tree damage, particularly when there are, for example, 62 properties in a roughly 4-block radius that all have been targeted. I second what Tyson said about the fee structure for permitting. It does seem odd to charge 62 different permit fees for work happening in a roughly 4-block radius that is mostly the same kind of work. That is odd and should be addressed. Tyson brought up creativity. I think there are some creative solutions here as well, in addition to what Mr. Powell was mentioning. Not all cities rank all ordinance violations with the same priority. That may be the case of what's going on in front of some of those public buildings. But for example, there could be issues with sidewalks that need to be addressed upon the sale of a home or reevaluated within 3 years and just marked for visibility versus ones that are an actual threat to safety. Those kinds of things should be considered potentially. Also ranking in priority when the city notices ordinance violations could help prevent weaponization of city ordinances that are intended to protect the public good, but are instead being used as a tool and part of a personal dispute. We don't want city ordinances to go away from being part of public good, just like sidewalks are part of public good. I'll yield back the rest of my time to balance Tyson out. Thank you for considering this, and I understand there's another hearing coming up on, I think, the 20th. Thank you for doing that, and I hope you'll consider all of these things and find a creative solution. Thank you.
Jim Nacita and Corinne Patel. Yes, Mr. Nacita.
Thank you, Mayor. James Nacita, I live in Oregon City. I wasn't planning on speaking tonight, but I've been kind of watching city commission meetings, what's been going on with this sidewalk dispute. And I also have to confess that I haven't done a lot of research, legal or otherwise, on obligations, et cetera, in the code and in the Americans with Disabilities Act. Since this started, though, I have walked the neighborhood and noticed more about sidewalks than I had previously. I may be speaking again out of ignorance here, but if property owners are responsible and liable for the sidewalk corners and liable under the ADA under the for sidewalk corners?
No, they are not.
They're not. Okay. Then you've answered the question for me, because I was going to suggest exempting them in the code, because that seems to me where the big cost ticket is the ADA repairs to those corners.
Right.
Thank you for that information.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Hi, my name is Corinne Patel. I am a resident and business owner in the Mcloughlin neighborhood, and I'd like to clearly state from the onset, I am not representing my employer tonight, nor does anything I have to say constitute an opinion of my employer. I'd like to follow that up by saying that it's awkward to be addressing individuals who have a direct say in whether or not I maintain my employment. It is also incredibly awkward to be forced to dead name in order to sit here right now. I cannot change my name legally because I need to spend the money on a permit for my sidewalk. I do not have the money to spend for this permit, and I qualify for the tree reimbursement program. If I had the money up front, I wouldn't be here at all, but I don't have the money, nor do a lot of my neighbors. I'd like City Hall to reconsider how they handle the sidewalk reimbursement program. If that was available to residents without having to pay up front, many of us would not be in this situation. That's all I have to say. It's a short one. Thank you.
Thank you. Come on up, Mr. Henderson. Saving the best part for the last one.
Mayor and Commissioners, good evening. Not asking for anything this evening. I'm actually here tonight as DOCA's Vice President to talk a little bit about First City Celebration, give you some data and some comments. I saw many of you there. Thank you for coming. I saw a city manager as well. And I want to again reinforce the thanks from DOCA for the fact that the city approved the MOU that allows us to put these events on. So again, thank you very much for that approval. In addition, if you had happened to come down that Sunday morning, looked like the event never happened. And Public Works is outstanding. The last few events we've worked with them, they should really be commended. We appreciate everything that they do. Some very quick data for you. So again, this is rough estimates because the elevator ambassadors are sitting there doing hand counts of people, but approximately 4,000 visitors used the elevator on that day, and another 25 to 50% were actually diverted to the stairs because of the wait. So you're talking 5,000 to 6,000 people. You think about the other access points to Main Street, and you're talking somewhere between 7,000 and 8,000 visitors for that event.
So you're saying we inadvertently had a physical fitness program going on by having people take the stairs?
Absolutely, whatever works. In addition, this year included 27 performers, 130 vendors, and 25 sponsors. What also is really impressive is this year's was pretty much starting from scratch. So it was the first time that Juliana and Ryan had 12 months to plan for it. Heidi Blackwell, Be Well, that went through the BizPod program, that was the first time they were handling this event as the event planner. New utility and setup contractor as well. So really impressive how well that event went. Next month, we're already planning the kickoff with Be Well for planning 10 months ahead of time for next year's. And we followed up with a survey distributed to downtown stakeholders as well as the community members, so we'll have some additional data to provide. So hopefully everybody on the dais feels that that was a successful event and well-spent funds by the city. Thank you.
So Mr. Mabee, is your comment about sidewalks? Okay, because I wanted to make a statement, but I will wait till after you do. Thank you, Seth. I had a great time down there. I saw a lot of folks down there, talked to a lot of people, gave out a lot of information while I was down there.
Can I say something about that?
First City?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It felt, to me, it felt more local. It felt, in terms of the vendors that were there, in terms of the groups that performed, it felt like what we really want First City Celebration to be. And I just wanted to compliment Doka on the direction that the event seems to be going. I think it was very well received in the community. Everybody that I spoke to was having a great time. And yeah, keep up the good work.
Go ahead.
Damon, maybe Oregon City resident. I just speaking is about the sidewalks, and I think Tony's the only one was here back in the day. I seem to recall when I was sitting up there as a city commissioner, we had a big sidewalk problem up at, I think, Trails View up off Holcomb. And the resolution, is my recollection at the time, was that because there was such a widespread problem, basically all the sidewalks erupted.
Not all of them.
Well, virtually.
Some.
I'll go with virtually, because that's a really nice weasel word. My understanding that was the arrangement we came to was that the citizens were responsible for removing the sidewalks, and the city would be responsible for putting the new sidewalks in, or the opposite. It was a 50-50. So that's, because, people can come up with borrowing their buddy's truck and get cement out of there, but getting proper cement work in is a different thing. And I don't recall that there was a whole plethora of permits. It was, boom, we're gonna come in on like 2 weeks and just bust it out. So that's my recollection is, creative thing. But again, that was also 20 years ago. So like I said, Tony might be the only one who remembers that. Anyway, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so let me close out this item and by saying so that those who are at home watching and those who are here. So we plan to address this on the 20th of August. We will have a public hearing in order to have further discussion. We will have some documentation and some information from our staff. So for those who are interested in coming back at our next meeting to talk about sidewalks some more, please do. We do plan to address it again. And I appreciate all the comments from the community. Obviously, it's been a topic of conversation amongst myself and many of our neighbors who've talked to me over the last few weeks about this. But I thank you for coming tonight, and we will look forward to seeing you on the 20th, and check the City Commission agenda for the packet so you'll see what information is in there. So we really appreciate it. And
on the same topic.
okay.
What is staff bringing back to us specifically?
We had asked them for some additional information, as I recall, from a month and a half ago.
Yes, so at the work session, there was discussion about changing the code to allow more time to be consistent with how we typically handle things through code enforcement. Right. Expanding grinding options were the two directives that we were asked to bring back, realizing that there could be a further discussion when it's actually a public hearing.
Okay.
Yeah, so again, this is public comment, so we're closing that out, and we're going to
Well, I can go into the audience and sit in that chair
sure.
if you'd like me
That's
to.
okay. No, go ahead. Keep going. I'm just saying that we're trying.
My point is that I want to make sure, because
from the work
we've
session.
gotten lots of emails on this
Yes.
topic, some of them not so gentle, but I want to be able to make sure that staff's coming back with some of the things that I have questions about, and I don't know if that's something that we want to go beyond the 20th, or if we want to wrap it all up on the 20th. But
we'll see.
one of the things that so I don't know if we should, put a segment on the agenda tonight to talk about it a little bit, because there's some things
we can
question about, or just for a moment, because I'd like to ask some questions about certain things and comment a little bit on what Damon maybe mentioned and some of the other public mentioned tonight.
Let's move
I don't want to take a lot of time, but I want to at least.
Well, let's move our discussion to item number 9. so we can have further discussion about it, even though it's not on the agenda. We will have that, and that will be under general business.
Okay.
So, thank you. No, I'm glad you brought that up, because I had discussion with the city manager about what we were bringing back, which included the timeframes, which included possibly looking at a different option for the permitting.
Yep.
And we also talked about, didn't we also talk about, we did already agree about the grinding. We already
Grinding,
decided
but
that.
maybe,
Yeah, we talked about that already. Okay, perfect. All right, so next on our agenda is item number 6 and 7. So this is where we adopt the agenda. We have a number of items that are on the consent agenda. And I'm assuming you read the minutes, the old minutes, even though you weren't here, you still are able to vote on them. So we still have from 2024, but we're getting caught up, and thank you for all your work. And so is there anything on here that anybody had any concerns about, or do we have a motion?
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt the consent agenda. Let's have the roll call, please.
Commissioner Wilson.
Aye.
Commissioner Mitchell.
Aye.
Commissioner Smith.
Aye.
Mayor McGriff.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. It was nice reading the minutes and seeing Commissioner O'Donnell's name on there. Brought back a little reminiscent, a little nostalgia. All right, so the next item on our agenda is item number 8. And we have a public hearing, 8A, which is removal of the dead elm at Library Park, and that would be our illustrious park staff. So it's just solo tonight, Mr. Archer, or is Mr. Kissinger coming up with you? He's going to come up for help. Okay, he's the help. All right. I'm assuming that everybody has paid a site visit and are aware of the situation with the tree. So let's open the public hearing with the staff report.
All right. Good evening, Mayor and Commission. Scott Archer, Parks and Recreation Director. And yes, Tom Kissinger is also here, our Deputy Parks and Rec Director, to potentially help out with any questions. And then I want to also introduce and note that Lyle Fellmeyer is here from Bartlett Trees. He's a master arborist, and he was involved with creating the report. So I'll, if there are questions that require his expertise, we may need to call on him. So what we are talking about is an American elm tree at the library, at Library Park, that is in a condition that we are recommending your consideration of its removal. And so with that, the tree is circled here. It's on 7th, near the vicinity of the corner of John Adams. And this particular tree has been in decline. We've been tracking it and monitoring it actually for a number of years. Our staff has been, it's been in decline for some time. As you all are highly aware, we have the Dutch elm disease issue at this park. It has already taken down a few other trees previously. I think we've over time removed 4 of the elm on the site, and maybe a couple of other species of tree. And it's just a progressive disease that it gets underground, it gets in the roots, and it gets exchanged. And then what happens is, kind of attacks the different trees. But there is a process that we can try to abate that and head it off. There's an inoculation that we can give the trees, and it sometimes will prevent the disease from happening. Not usually. What it usually does is just slows the progression down, so we get survival for maybe several more years, and that's the case here. We did between 2019 and 2023. We did a series of 3 of these inoculations, including this tree here. But I think the good news on that is it also is on some of the more healthy elms that are on the site. It hopefully will keep those trees healthy and alive for much longer. But unfortunately, this one kind of reached that point, and this monitoring that we've been doing, as we came out of winter and into the spring, into the season where the tree should be leafing, it did not this year at all. So that's a pretty significant sign, obviously. So with that observation, we went through the process of bringing on a company, an arborist. That also has to be analyzed by an arborist and then kind of overseen by a master arborist, which is what Mr. Fellmeyer's role is. The size of this tree is 43-inch diameter, which is in excess of the size that requires the commission's consideration. That's why we're here with you tonight. The arborist report, and it's all in your commission agenda packet, details all of this, did categorize this particular elm as dead. You can see just from the picture here, this photo is from the arborist report, shows dead branches in the crown, degraded bark, loose bark, sloughing, all of the signs that it's decayed significantly, and in this case, determined to be dead. So with regard to the process here and bringing this forward, our code also requires, in some cases, might dictate mitigation for replacement of trees. In this case, our code does not require a replacement tree, but we have proposed to voluntarily mitigate this with a replacement, a different variety, but an elm tree, but a variety that is disease resistant. So we are proposing a replacement tree. If this is removed, it would be in the site near where this tree is right now, and we would replant it with another elm. That's just something we thought would be a prudent measure to do. If removed, the replanting would likely occur this fall. Kind of depends a little bit on our ability to procure the right species and when we could do that, but we would look to replace it as soon as possible. And so with that, your options are to approve the removal as recommended with the on-site mitigation as we are proposing. You can approve the removal of the tree with alternate mitigation as you might direct us. Or of course you can deny the tree removal and mitigation. The option 3, the challenge here is at this point, the condition of that tree is, it is a significant hazard, and it's obviously in this park, very active and busy park, but it's also, it's right on 7th, and we're becoming concerned about the safety and liability hazard issue there. So we would not recommend denying removal, but that's certainly your prerogative. So with that, I'd be happy to help answer any questions. Again, we also have Mr. Kissinger and Mr. Fellmeyer here to help answer any of the questions you might have.
Gentlemen, are there any questions? I thought the staff report was quite thorough and gave us all the information that we need, but please feel free if you have any questions regarding this particular item.
I just have one. Sorry, I just have one. So with the mitigation and the replacement of a tree in the site, I'm just kind of curious why the particular tree you chose to replant there. Like, what was the decision behind that?
And that's a great question. And actually, I'm going to call on Mr. Fellmeyer, the master arborist. I think he can provide. We were just having this conversation before the meeting. I think he can provide a great explanation for that.
Yeah, just curious, like what options were considered and why we landed on this one specifically.
Hang on a second. I'm assuming it's on our list of approved trees.
Yes, so my name is Lyle Fellmer with Commercial Arborist for Department of Tree Experts. It's a great question, and I kind of mentioned it this evening. So Carnegie libraries across the country all have elms. It was the tree that was planted at a Carnegie library. And so so far, all the removals that have been done, the mitigation tree has not been an elm. And so this was my opportunity to recommend elm specifically because it's a Carnegie library.
It's also listed in the National Register nomination, as I recall, because I looked it up again, and it specifically talks in the nomination form about the number of large mature elms that populate the site, and that is, you are correct. If you look through the history of Carnegie libraries all over the country, that is the tree.
It is
now, of
the
course,
tree
we did
of
not know
Carnegie
they were going to get
libraries.
diseased, but so.
Perfect, thank you. That answers my question.
Thank you.
Yeah, so before we go into our deliberation, I guess I would like to suggest if we are going to mitigate, I would strongly suggest that we get a much larger tree, that we unfortunately or fortunately spend the money and get something that's beyond 2-inch caliper. That is a very prominent corner. I know we're not going to plant it in the same spot, but nearby. And so, you know, I'll never live to see a 2-inch tree get that big. I mean, not that I'm planning on going anywhere, but, you know, I think something larger would be, if it's available. There's a couple of companies around, Big Trees of Oregon. I think it'd be worth for us to spend additional funding to get a tree that is beyond a 2-inch caliper, 4 to 6, maybe, whatever might be available that's not 2. Any other questions?
Well, it's not a question, but sort of along that line, I had the same thought. And I know there's challenges as you try to transplant a larger tree, they don't survive as often. So maybe we could consider more than one tree as mitigation, because one 2-inch tree is, you know, I realize that our code doesn't require it, but it really is a mitigation. And if our expert arborist feels that a larger tree has a not a good enough chance of survival, then I would like to see us consider, you know, 2 or 3 trees. And then down the road, you know, if one starts to grow up to a size and you have to, you know, thin out the neighbors that aren't doing quite so well, that's, you know, a possibility. So anyway, that's my thoughts, and that would be, I think it would be up to our arborist to help us out with that.
Well, we can add that to the motion.
Yeah.
So I don't have any slips for anybody here that wants to comment, so I'm going to close the public hearing and ask for deliberation by the commission.
I'll add to that. I agree. Because of the comments already made tonight, this is an iconic block in Oregon City, and because of the trees. And we did everything we could. I mean, it's devastating to see what has happened to that park in the last 10 years. And I think we need, now that we know that we've made all the effort to save the existing trees and that they're still dying, we need to make an extra effort to mitigate it. And whether it's, you know, larger size trees or multiple trees, I think we really need to make a proactive effort to put some money back into replacing the trees, because I don't even know how many of the originals are left. 1 or 2?
There's
maybe 3, I don't know. 2.
Yeah. And we've mitigated 4.
It's just shocking. And those of us that drive up the hill every day or 10 times a day, it's one of the things I think about every time I drive by there is, oh my gosh, you know, those trees are slowly going away, and it is just a beautiful place. So we want to be active in making sure it stays that way for the future. So I think we need to, if we need to spend extra money to do it, then we need to do it.
Yeah, I would, if for some reason, which I hope it's not going to happen, if we are not able to plant a larger tree, I would like that to come, I'd like us to be informed about it. I'm not saying you have to come back, but in some way inform us, because I don't want to have, you know, I drive that 20 times a day, and I've been watching that tree over the last, you know, several years, and we have made significant efforts to try to save them, but as everybody knows, the way that the roots are underground, they're all communicating with each other and they're all intertwined. So if one gets it, it gets to the next one and the next one. And so, you know, it's helpful that we are basically taking out some of the bad roots and replacing it with something that's not going to get done. And I know the Ladd's Addition has been working on this particular issue for 20 years, inoculating their elms, which is a significant part of their neighborhood and their National Register district. And they've lost a few, but they're you know, we're keeping at it. And I think we have an obligation to our community, because I don't know how many times a day we drive by and see people laying on the grass under the trees and just reading out there, or just, you know, enjoying it with their kids. And it's, you know, it's one of our signature parks. So we have to do, I think, all we can to try to mitigate that. So can we have a motion about adding that to the motion about approving this with a larger caliper tree? And we'll get some advice from our consultant about that. So we need a motion.
Are we limiting the option to a larger tree or to?
I think you should do
larger
or.
Or some multiple.
I asked if they couldn't plant the larger tree, that they would inform us and let us know about that. I asked Scott.
I'm just trying to figure out how to make a motion.
Try it.
Well, I'm wondering, would we make a motion to approve removal of the tree?
Yes, that's the first
With-
one.
Right, with
the mitigation.
Right, like essentially coming back to us with, hey, these are the options
All
we
right,
have, which would you prefer?
I'll move to approve removal of the tree with staff to come back with an alternate improved mitigation plan.
Second.
Commissioner Wilson,
Aye.
Commissioner Mitchell,
Aye.
Commissioner Smith,
Aye.
Mayor McGrath.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much for the excellent report. Very thorough.
Thank you.
All right, so let's move on to, yes. Break, okay, 5-minute break.
there'll be consequences.
All right, so let's call the meeting back to order. All right, so we are down to number 9, and I'm going to take a little bit of deference here. We're going to take up the, Commissioner Smith wanted to ask the city manager what else besides the information that we had requested from the work session regarding extending time, looking at other options. Was there anything else that you had on your
Yeah,
list?
so at our last meeting, I was one of the commissioners who kind of had concerns about the direction we're going, mainly because we all acknowledge that it's the homeowner's responsibility to deal with the sidewalks. That's not unusual to any real other city. The tree issue was an issue that the city definitely realized had some responsibility for, and so that's what created the tree reimbursement. The question now is whether we expand that, and we've had that discussion. The only reason I think some commissioners are concerned about expanding that is because if we expand it for one particular thing or open the door to everything, it just means we're going to be responsible for fixing everyone's sidewalks in town regardless of the reason, which I don't think we should do. But I do think it's an unfair burden for certain residents to take on 3, 4, 5, 6 panels. And so, one of the things I'd like to discuss, and I think we kind of have discussed it a little bit as a possibility, is, what is the ability for the city to help if it's a property that is dealing with beyond, let's say, 2 panels or beyond 3 panels, because that is, most homeowners can, deal with a panel here and there. The time issue is one that we've already mentioned. I love the fact that citizens point out the fact that we have anyone that's gone to a concert in the park or visit the end of the Oregon Trail Interpretive Center or any city properties knows that our sidewalks are the worst, and they've been that way for a long time. But when we have someone, and I also agree that it's ridiculous to have one person who's not reasonable enough to realize that turning in every single person in their neighborhood is beyond reasonable. I think I would like to see if somehow we can create a way that discourages people from doing that. Although, to some argument, obviously they have every right to do that if there's an issue with the sidewalks. So there's a balance. But anyway, what I want to get to is what former Commissioner maybe commented about, I don't think was exactly right. I think what we got to, the bulk rate for what we are talking about now is what came from the Trails View and all of that, meaning that discussion of the other neighborhoods is what got us to property owners joining together, multiple property owners to save some money in that. I think that was the original solution that we got from that. I think that's how we got there.
Okay, so is there any other information that we need to give to staff?
Yes. Let me finish. What we went short of was what a lot of citizens said is if you have 40-some neighbors, in the same neighborhood, why don't they pay into a fund with the city and the city contract someone to fix all the damn sidewalks at the same time? We didn't do that because we found that middle solution, the staffing involved and other things we debated. I don't know if that's a reasonable discussion to have. And the reason for that is there some way that we can save citizens money by figuring out, okay, they have 1 or 2 sidewalk sections or 3 or 4, and we kind of calculate a discount to them and they pay into a fund at the city, and we contract someone from this, beyond the city to set a number of sidewalks. I know we've talked about it, but we had pluses and cons to that. That's one possibility I think we can think about. If not, I think just minimally thinking about, citizens that we're expecting to pay for 3 or 4 or 5 sections of sidewalk all at one time, it's not doable. And is there a way for us to incrementally step in, help for residents that have problems beyond one or two pieces of sidewalk and sections. I guess those are the things that I want to talk about at the next
Okay.
meeting, and whether or not that means staff has to come back to us with more information than they thought they did, I don't know. But that's those are the conversations I want to talk about at that point.
Perfect, yeah, so I want to keep I don't want us to get into a discussion because we're going to have a hearing.
No,
But if you have other items that we need to add to the list, we need to let staff know now.
I have two of those. One fairly straightforward and one probably not so straightforward. But I would like to know from staff the implications of a short-term citywide moratorium on the fee. I think,
You mean a permit?
I mean
Yeah,
zero,
fee,
for
permit fee.
6 months, the fee is zero. In the same way that libraries have, free find day, and you can bring back the books, and it encourage people to bring back books. This would encourage citywide
You're talking about the permit fee?
sidewalk repair. I'm talking about the permit fee.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. That would be one. The other one, and this is where it gets a little more complicated, but to Commissioner Smith's point on these individuals that are faced with multiple panels, what would the implication be of a short-term, no-interest loan? Okay, those are my two things that I think I would like to see us consider.
A little bit maybe of a hard one to direct. So first off, I was actually going to make a comment almost identical to what you said about what about just a moratorium on fees entirely. I also just real quick, I want to refute just because if we do something about sidewalks in this neighborhood does not mean we have to do something for every neighborhood in the city. I am just sitting here wondering.
We don't have to do anything, but there's an implication there. If you open the door to one group of people, you should be doing it for everyone. That's just morality.
Well, yeah.
I am just sitting here thinking, are there any other creative solutions that we can think of? And I know, one of the work sessions I threw out, like, would it be possible to do like property tax credits, which we said, hey, that's not an option. And so, what about water bill credits?
We don't, we can't mix and match funds.
I know.
That's the problem. And we don't control the assessments.
Is there any other just really creative solutions that we can think of to help in this situation where we have somebody that is weaponizing our code?
Okay. All right, thank you, gentlemen. Let's move on. So let's take up the issue of the insurance requirement for the Mcloughlin Neighborhood Association. And for the record, I want to say, obviously, you all know I do live in the Mcloughlin neighborhood.
As do I.
As do I.
So the request is to allow for a fee waiver. I will say this in defense of the Neighborhood Association. I also called my insurance agent and gave him the same situation. And could I get a waiver on my homeowner's insurance if I was doing this? And he said, there is no site to do this to. So I called somebody randomly out of I will use the term telephone directory, explained who I was and what question I was asking, and they also gave me the same answer. And it was not my insurance company, it was a completely random different. I called State Farm. I have Travelers. So I am inclined to recommend to you all, since I can't make the motion, I can second a motion, that this is a very unique situation, and I don't, again, agreeing with you, this does not mean that in the future everybody's going to get a waiver. This is a very unique circumstance. Other projects that have been done under the enhancement grant program, and I have a long history with it, have a site or a location or some place where the business or the activity is taking place, and I understand why we are doing that. I've worked on a couple of projects myself, but they've both been on city property, and the city is self-insured. The other thing is that the neighborhood associations are under the auspices through our code, not code, but in terms of we passed resolutions in the past that were signed by previous commissioners to authorize the operation of the neighborhood associations. And this is an activity, as was stated, printing signs. They're not running the thing, they're providing information. So I would like to recommend that we allow this one-time waiver based on these particular circumstances.
I have one Well, I've done many events, so I know that even if they were given the opportunity to buy event insurance, it would be most of that $2,500, if it's not half of it. So it's an event that definitely is unusual to the regular events that we have, and so I'm inclined to do the same thing. The problem I have, though, I guess now thinking of it, is the difference is the neighborhood association, I guess, because the Porch Fest essentially is similar in
It's 501c3.
Right. Okay, that's the difference, right?
Yeah, the neighborhood association is not. All the other organizations that we have given funding to that have operated through those grants are an entity that have some sort of status as an entity.
Well, again, it's for printing and...
Yeah, signs.
I'm okay with
They're
it.
not putting on an event, so we need a motion. Go ahead.
Thank you. I'm having a real problem with a one-time exemption because next time around, there's going to be somebody else that thinks they should have a one-time exemption. So I'm not in favor of that. But I think it points to a bigger problem that I want us to not wait until next year's Metro Enhancement Grant meeting and say, gee, we should have fixed this.
That is already in motion. Be honest with you.
Can I finish?
Please.
We need a meeting in the interim to evaluate that whole program. And I guess on the one hand, I could say, all right, I'm okay with a one-time exemption because we're going to look at the whole thing. But I have a problem with it, and I'm not going to support it, but I'm one vote. But I really would like to see us evaluate the whole program prior to, well ahead of the deadline next year.
I have had that discussion with the city manager, and he is supportive of us having a meeting sometime this fall with the entire committee to have this discussion, because I am not happy with the way that the program has been. Let's just say I'm not happy with the criteria by which we evaluate them, and I'm not happy with the scope. I would like to see the Metro Enhancement Committee projects be physical in nature and improve the city, which is what it was supposed to be doing. So can I have a motion, please?
I have something real quick. Given that we are asking Mr. Powell to insure an event that by his research is uninsurable, can I ask our city attorney, what is our risk in that we are giving money for flyers for this event? What is the concern with, and I understand it's in the application, right? But what I'm asking is, what is the city's risk?
I haven't looked at the terms of the grant, so I can't say comprehensively, but from everything I've heard, there wouldn't be any because the neighborhood association isn't doing anything physical other than printing flyers. So maybe a paper cut.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and make a motion. Sorry. I'm going to make a motion
Tim, please do not report any of your paper cuts from the signs.
I'm not going to speak to that.
Go ahead, Scott.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and make a motion to approve the exemption request for the insurance requirement.
Second.
Commissioner Wilson.
Aye.
Commissioner Mitchell.
No.
Commissioner Smith.
Aye.
Mayor McGriff.
Aye.
Motion passes.
And as I said, Commissioner Mitchell, that after the first round that we had, because we're going to be going into the second round, I expressed my concerns to not only Mr. Graham, but Mr. Conkle, and that will happen. I've also spoken with Councilor Lewis about this as well. All right, let's move on to the main event. So we have on our agenda item 9C, Mcloughlin Promenade. We've all been here multiple times.
Yes, Mayor and Commissioners, as you'll see in your packet this evening, you're going to see a lot of materials that are going to be very familiar to you, but they have been updated since the work session on June 10th. So you'll see on the property list, I have made sure to make notes about what was discussed during the work session, just so you're fully up to date. There's also a draft acknowledgement letter for any properties where you requested a letter. There's additionally information for the 3 properties that would actually require some amount of funding to move forward, so that you can review that as well. And really what we're looking for this evening is essentially a review and approval if you feel comfortable and want to move forward with the acknowledgement letters either as presented or with amendments. And then also to let us know, what, if any, of the costs associated with some of these changes you would be allocating to the property owners. So this is where we're at currently. We can simply run through the property list as we've done in the past, if that's easiest. I'm not sure what your preference is on how you want to look at this, or maybe you guys have all had a chance to review it and you already have thoughts. Let me know, but we can simply go through the list if that's easiest for you.
Do you want to just go through them one by one? Okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so the first property is 104 Tumwater Drive. This is the VFW's property. There is a letter that's been prepared that goes along with this current status update. You'll see that there are estimated costs in here for the vacations and lot line adjustments that would be necessary to fulfill the proposal they've pitched to you, and that you all sounded like you were interested in pursuing at the work session. So again, there's an acknowledgement letter that details all of that. As I note at the bottom, it would result in a split zone parcel. However, in speaking with the planning department, that's something that the city can do in a legislative update later, so that actually it wouldn't cost anything to the property owner. And unless there's specific concerns about that split zone parcel, we don't see why that would really be a hindrance or a problem in the next few years until we could get to it. And that is also going to be the case with the Yates property. They would also end up with a split zone parcel, but again, that's something that we could clean up later at no cost to them. So the costs that you're looking at are really just the survey work, the lot line adjustment process, and the vacation for a total of $9,161 for this particular parcel.
Any questions, comments? I would appreciate it even if it's a token amount that the applicants put in some funding. I didn't realize it was going to be quite that expensive.
And I just want to stress, it is an estimate from the surveyor. I did try to explain the situation in as much detail as I could, but until he goes out there. Yeah. I can't guarantee that that's the amount, but I'm sure he'll work with us to the best of his ability.
Move on.
Just a question. The vacation amount and the lot line adjustment amount, are we essentially paying those to ourselves?
Well, that depends. I mean, if you're asking the property owner to pay it, no. I mean, it gets paid to the city because they are.
Whoever pays it, it's paid to the city.
Correct.
But the $6,200 or whatever for the surveyor, that goes to a surveyor.
Yes,
okay.
Correct.
Okay, so got it.
Yes.
Okay, so it looks like we're okay with that 104.
So do you want to vote on each one individually? Do you want to see if, I don't know, Damon, did you want to speak on this one at all? Or I wasn't sure if you had, I'm not sure how process-wise you.
We didn't say people could be speaking.
Sorry. Overstepped.
Do you want to say anything?
But I guess I was saying, do you want to vote on these individually, or do you want to just do them all as a package and then go back and revisit them? It's up to you on just process-wise.
How many motions are you willing to make tonight? What would you like to do?
I think we need to do them one at a time.
Okay.
I agree.
Because we could get hung up on a couple.
Okay. Let's have a motion for approval of, come on up first. I'm just trying to move this along, sorry.
Well, I'm first, so I'm okay with, whatever time it takes. No, sorry, Damon, maybe VFW in this case. We're most definitely willing to put some money forward. We just want to be able to work with the city manager on what we think is a good number, because we are ceding quite a bit of property back to the
Fine.
city as part of this. So I think there's a reasonable number we can come to where we acknowledge what's happening and the benefit that we're getting from it.
Awesome.
So.
Okay, let's have a motion. Allowing the parties to work with each other to come up with some reasonable number.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded.
Commissioner Wilson.
Aye.
Commissioner Mitchell.
Aye.
Commissioner Smith.
Aye.
Mayor McGriff.
Aye.
Motion passes.
All right.
Okay, moving on to property number 2. This is the property at 123 High Street. It is the shed that is encroaching and also significantly in the right-of-way. The direction had been that the property owner needed to get a right-of-way permit. That permit cost is $689. And then just generally that they would be allowed to remain in the encroachment area. And again, there's an acknowledgement letter that details all of this that has been prepared and drafted. So we're just looking for direction and approval.
I didn't see anything in here that basically says if the accessory structure is removed or is destroyed, they cannot build it back. They would have to build it, put it back, meeting all the requirements of the Mcloughlin Conservation District or whatever requirements are in the time, and not in the right-of-way. That'd be my only concern.
Okay.
It does say the city retains the right to remove all or some of the encroachment in the future. I mean, I don't know, maybe there's sometime in the future we might put a sidewalk there. I doubt we will, but if we did, that building would be would be where the sidewalk would go.
Well, it does say there could be no further alteration or expansion.
Right.
But we can also add language that says if it's destroyed or something like that, that it can't be rebuilt if that's the preference.
Right. That would have to be meeting all the requirements of the code for rebuilding. Anything else on this one? We have a motion?
And is
about the
the
fee?
cost, is the full
The
cost
fee.
being allocated to the owners?
I would personally be in support of discounting it by 100%.
I would not discount it by 100%. I'd be willing to go somewhere between 20 and 25% and 50, but not the whole thing. We all have skin in the game for this, so. What is it's $689, okay. So if we did.
Make your motion and we'll see where it goes.
Well, I can't make a motion.
I'm just looking at Scott.
I'm going to go ahead and make a motion for the approval with the addition of language citing if the structure is removed or destroyed, would have to comply with current regulations and with a discounted permit of 100%.
Second?
Second.
Okay, on the motion?
Commissioner Wilson.
Aye.
Commissioner Mitchell.
Aye.
Commissioner Smith.
Aye.
Mayor McGriff.
No.
Motion passes.
Okay, number 3.
Yes. So number 3 is 214 Bluff Street. Let's see, this particular property, there was consensus at the work session to require removal of all the encroachments except the deck. So that is reflected in the acknowledgement letter.
And I'm sorry, I couldn't hear which property we're.
Number 3.
That 214 Bluff Street.
I think they are in order. No? Okay, that's
They're
why
not
I
in
printed
order.
mine. I have them all in order now. You want to look at this real quick?
Oh, no, I've got it right.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll move to go ahead as proposed in the letter.
Second.
I'd like to suggest that that they have a little more than 60 days to remove. I mean, I think they can remove the fire pit chairs, but the rock borders might take longer than 60 days.
We've got a motion and a second.
So
So you have to withdraw.
Withdraw.
Well, they can amend it because there's a, yeah. I would just like to suggest we give them a little more time. They've had all this time, but let's be generous.
I think that makes sense. I think that's a good call out.
Do you want to amend your motion?
Yeah, I'll, 120 days?
That'd be reasonable, I think.
Okay, I'll amend the motion to change 60 days to 120 days.
But no further extensions.
Second.
Motion.
Commissioner Wilson.
Aye.
Commissioner Mitchell.
Aye.
Commissioner Smith.
Aye.
Mayor McGriff.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Number 4.
Okay, so now we're at 210 Bluff Street.
Yep.
The consensus from June 10th was that all items needed to be removed. Again, there's an acknowledgement letter reflecting that.
Yeah, let's give them the same amount of time. Is that okay with everybody? I guess the only thing I would say in the letter that we say must be removed by a certain period of time, and then say period. If not, this matter will be, because it just sounds like either or, and it's not an either or. It's like, please do this by this time, or it will result in code enforcement. It's just semantics. Was this one of the property owners that did not ever contact us?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, no response.
Yeah. Thoroughly disappointed, but. Motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the notice with the amendment of extending the timeline to 120 days.
Second.
Commissioner Wilson.
Aye.
Commissioner Mitchell.
Aye.
Commissioner Smith.
Aye.
Mayor McGriff.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Number 5.
Yes, so we're looking at 302 Bluff Street. The general consensus and direction at the June 10th work session was that the items may remain in the encroachment area. And again, the acknowledgement letter is reflective of that general consensus.
That one I do not have in order. I have number 6 where number 10 is supposed to be. 7, 10.
So to clarify on this one, is part of the granting permission for parking of a vehicle on promenade property?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. I've stated before in other meetings, and I still hold firm on that, I'm not in support of any permission on our part to park in promenade identified property.
But the rest of it you're okay with?
The rest of it I'm fine with.
Thoughts?
I have a question on
Go right ahead.
on a different aspect of this.
Sure.
I believe it's a wood stairs and deck, which at some point might need replacement. Is replacement an alteration which wouldn't be allowed, or is replacement like for like not covered? Would that be covered or not covered?
Are you talking about routine and ordinary maintenance?
Well,
What's that?
Oh, I was gonna say, we,
If it were taken down, I think our interpretation would be if it was taken down because it had to be replaced, it would need to comply with the code, which would be meeting the property setback, not being built back on city property.
So it could not be rebuilt.
Not on city property. It could be rebuilt on the owner property.
Okay.
Much like we just did with the shed. If it were destroyed, it would need to comply.
Okay.
Unless you prefer something else.
I'll make a motion to approve the letter as written with an amendment that removes permission for parking a vehicle on the promenade.
Is there a second, or does the motion fail?
I'll second it.
Commissioner Wilson.
I didn't call for the roll yet, sorry. I have a concern. I know that there are a number of properties along here that do have options for alternative parking. Is this one of them? I know there's a street that's adjacent that allows for on-street parking.
These are the ones that have been the toughest for me. And I'm having a hard time figuring out how to separate them.
There's several of them.
I'm aware of that every time we go through it. I haven't figured out in my mind how to make it work that makes sense because of the other properties that have a similar situation where there is property between the house and the street that we put in, or the driveway that we put in. And by we, I mean the city of Pass. We've had this discussion multiple times. The reason that it really is frustrating and hard to figure out is because where Promenade Street is in this location is a lot smaller of a space than it is further down. And you really have citizens that have been using that as their front yard, and really rightfully so, because the city, in my mind, sort of abandoned it where they're putting the driveway in there. But when you get up farther onto Promenade Street, that space gets a lot wider, and it's a lot harder to see giving up that piece entirely, because there was part of this discussion where I thought we should just vacate that section that we in between the property line and the street that the city put in. I would love us to be able to fix that in another way. I don't know how. And as time goes on, the truth is we want to make this a park, and it's dragging on long enough, and we're making some concessions that are hard to do that. I would love to, see that street had been put in a different way.
Love that.
And parallel with the street grid so that it was equitable. I don't know how to fix it. I'm not okay with this, and especially in this narrow section. Because the other section, they're different even in that, because the one section where it is wider, they are using it for parking, and in this section, I don't think it is being used for parking. It's just being used as a front yard.
Oh, that's his car right there.
Where?
In this picture, that's the car. You don't have that? Yeah, this, yeah. Okay, well. You want to just withdraw the motion and deal with the parking ones as we move down, because there's several others, and several of them do have they can park on the street instead of in the back.
I'll withdraw my second.
Okay, so let's put this one on hold and move on. So we have number 6, 306 Promenade.
Yes, 306 Promenade. This one, there were a few items that the commission expressed the preference that they remove and some that would stay. Again, this was at the work session on June 10th, and an acknowledgement letter is attached.
Yeah, but that's not going to take them that long to move that. We're not talking about a rock wall. We got garbage cans and trailers.
What I'm saying is the letter in this one also grants permission for parking. So if we're looking at doing the parking ones together, this would be one of those properties.
I think the other part, we could make that motion separately about the parking, but the other stuff, I think we could make a motion to existing utility trailer and all trash has to be removed. And then deal with this, separate the parking out, because that is an issue. This property, I believe, has frontage on High Street, as I recall. I walked by, matter of fact, I went by there and left my business card and said, please get a hold of us, and still no response, so, because I know them, so.
So the way this is written, this would allow the parking to continue?
Yes, and we're saying maybe we need to just take the parking out and put that in the other discussion about everybody else's parking.
So we would like to go on to so we want to approve the letter without the parking, then come back and have a discussion about parking, or do we just come back and visit these all together? We pull out all the parking ones as we go through.
My understanding is we were going to take all the properties that have parking permission as part of the letter.
And hold those to the end.
Hold those, discuss those in block, or not in block, but discuss those separately and talk about all the other properties first.
All right, so in
Am I
that case, we got,
misunderstanding on that?
we're going to hold 302 Bluff, 306 Promenade. What's the next one?
Okay. Number 7, 406 Bluff. That's have parking in it too.
Sorry, what's the address?
406 Bluff, that's number 7.
Oh, this says 406 Promenade.
Oh.
It's Promenade.
Well, I'm reading the letter.
It's 406 Bluff
Street.
Yeah, Bluff Street LLC is their company name, so it's a little bit confusing because the address is 406 Promenade. I've done that.
But yeah, I went to the.
But that one, yes, has parking.
Okay, I'll move to approve this one as per the terms in the letter.
Second.
Wait, which?
Yep.
It's this one.
Are you looking at the long report, or are you looking at the
I'm
individual?
I'm looking at the
I was
letter and the
asking
long
Scott.
report. This is the guy that's got the sign.
Okay.
The address is 406 Promenade, but the letter is addressed to them at 406 Bluff Street. It's called 406.
This one mentions parking.
That's my question. This one.
So this one has parking.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
So we're going to hold.
Okay. Property number 8. This one also has parking. Okay, property number 9, that's 503 High Street. This one does not have parking. It has extensive landscaping. The consensus was to allow them to continue or retain that landscaping so long as they continued all of the maintenance, and that any signage indicating the property was private be removed.
Okay,
This is
I'll
the-
move
This
to.
is the Latterette House.
I will move to go forward with this one as presented in the letter.
Second. Call for the roll.
Commissioner Wilson.
Aye.
Commissioner Mitchell.
Aye.
Commissioner Smith.
Aye.
Mayor McGriff.
Aye.
Motion passes.
The DC and E.
Okay, property number 10, this is 515 High Street. This is the Yates property. So during the June 10th work session, the consensus was to vacate the portion of the promenade where the foundation of their home was located. I've estimated the cost for survey work, vacation process, and the total is listed here as $1,823. I have spoken with the Yates. I know that they had previously expressed a willingness to pay for this in a prior letter. When I spoke with them more recently, they still expressed some interest, but essentially said that they would only want to do that if other property owners were being asked also to pay for any costs associated with this as well. So I'm just updating you that that was essentially kind of their amended opinion.
So they changed their minds. In essence, yeah, because they offered.
In essence. So again, there's an acknowledgement letter that reflects this and these total costs. We would just need to know how much of the costs you would like to assign to them.
Could we live with 50%? See, we should have struck while the iron was hot when they said they would pay.
And I'm sorry, what's the estimated cost on this?
She said 1,800.
1,823.
Okay, thank you.
And again, that is an estimate. I believe the survey work will be pretty straightforward, but again, nothing's final until we get the final bill, but.
Yeah.
Is there a motion? We want to recognize that we could pay for some of this. They're the only ones that ever volunteered, so it's kind of a little distance.
Well, I think, to me, to be consistent, we took the fees to zero on the other one. I think the only fair thing to do is do that here
There's
as
no
well.
fee here. This is a vacation.
Cost.
Yeah. It's a cost for the surveying.
We voted,
Go ahead.
I'm just saying, we voted zero cost on the other one. As a matter of fairness, it seems like we ought to continue that on this one.
That was a
That was my comment.
I viewed it slightly different. It's a permit fee.
Yeah, this is different. We didn't waive it, the cost of the vacation and everything with the VFW. We said we'd work
Well,
out.
it was another
It was
property.
a permit.
So what's the difference? It's a cost to the homeowner in both cases. I'm just saying. Somebody will make a motion and we'll see where it goes.
Well, half of $1,800 is $900, so I think we could pay $900. And they could pay $900. We have a motion or anything? I hate the pregnant pauses here.
I'm going to make a motion to approve the letter as written.
Second? Would you at all consider adding help paying for part of it in conjunction with what he said? Or move it along?
I mean, I would say move it along.
Okay, let's have the roll.
Commissioner Wilson.
Aye.
Commissioner Mitchell.
No.
Commissioner Smith.
No.
Mayor McGriff.
Yes.
Motion fails.
All right, let's have a revision. Do we think that they should pay any of it? I'm recommending 50%. This is not rocket science, come on, let's move it along. right, let's move on to number 11. One to 110, 1112, 114, and 116 South Bluff, property number 11.
This does include
This one
parking.
includes parking.
Yeah, does this one include parking?
Yes,
Well,
it
I want
does.
the rest of the crap gone, so. Okay, number 12, 118 Promenade Street.
Parking again.
No,
Yes.
this is the,
It includes parking.
It includes parking.
yeah. You were very adamant about that, no parking. Have to remove all the stuff.
Yep.
Are we holding this one over? Mr. Mitchell?
Well, I thought we were going to hold over the ones
Okay,
that
all right,
had.
let's move on, number 14, number 13.
Yes, 13 is 311 High Street. It does include parking. And generally speaking, there was no further direction of any kind during the work session. So this one, there hasn't been any next steps, and we need direction fully for this one.
Wasn't this the one that came back that had to do with the recreational immunity that they were willing to sign?
No.
You told me about one of those. I thought it was this one. All right, let's move on to number 14.
Number 14 is 127 South High Street. And this particular one does not include any parking. The consensus during the work session on June 10th was to let the items remain in the encroachment area, and an acknowledgement letter is attached.
I'll move forward.
Hang on. Okay, so we have beyond your property line, so they put in rock walls, boulders, and landscaping?
Yes.
Okay, I do not want to allow for any replanting. I do not support this one. Again, if we're making other people remove stuff, they need to remove their stuff too, so. But you have in here, landscaping may remain, you are welcome to replant. No, I do not want any expansion. I don't want it, if it dies, it's gone. It's part of the park, it's not their property.
So this is the property at the end, right? Close to the VFW.
Correct.
And so this is the one where that area currently is not
Yeah.
accessible,
Yeah.
really.
But-
Easily, I should say.
Yeah, easily, but it could be. There is definitely the right-of-way there and the
Sure.
pathway, so
Sure.
it could happen. So if the landscaping goes kaput, I don't really want us to, I would just want to change, if we're going to approve this, it says you may not replant. That pathway is dedicated to the public, and it should be, someday we will have it in our master plan, and we will go through and we will get that done. We don't want to have people come back and say, oh, my stuff is there.
So are we requesting the removal of everything that's planted for all properties?
No, I just said, I would vote to support this if it says you may not replant.
Would that be true for other properties that have planted things on the promenade?
We haven't gotten all of those yet.
Well, I guess I don't have a problem with replanting, because it does say the city retains the right to seek removal of some or of all your encroachments at any time in the future. So if we need it for something in the future, we can tell them, you got to take this out.
Yeah, just wanted to be clear that, if we need it in the future, we don't want to have to pay anybody for any of the stuff that they put in. It's their expense. I just don't want them to incur any additional expenses for putting stuff in that we don't want there. I say we, collectively, the community, not we, the commission. Let's have a motion or move on.
I'll move to go forward with this property as per the letter, proposed letter.
Second.
Been moved and seconded?
Commissioner Wilson.
Aye.
Commissioner Mitchell.
Aye.
Commissioner Smith.
All right.
Mayor McGrath.
Abstain.
Motion passes.
All right, let's move on to number 15. This is a
Number
fence-
15 signed the encroachment license agreement, so.
They what?
They signed the encroachment license
Okay,
agreement
all
some
right.
time ago, so.
Yay, all right, we can move on.
That is also the same with property number 16.
Number 16, okay.
So moving on to number 17.
Okay, so the encroachment is the landscaping at 509
Yes, so
High.
seven,
Yeah, oh, yeah, that's right,
property.
509 High did do that.
Yeah. So 524 High Street is
Right.
number 17. There are rock retaining walls and landscaping. During the work session, the general consensus was to let these items remain, so that's what the acknowledgement letter reflects.
Okay. And did they ever contact us?
They did.
They did, okay, perfect, all right. Motion?
I'll move to approve moving forward as per the letter.
For property number 17, second.
Yeah.
Roll call.
Commissioner Wilson.
Aye.
Commissioner Mitchell.
Aye.
Commissioner Smith.
Aye.
Mayor McGrath.
Aye.
Motion passes.
All right. So we're back to the top of the pops.
Yes, so back to the first property with parking was number 5.
So do we want to have sort of a general discussion about parking? I guess, let me just throw out something to consider. I know one of the things that access provides is, emergency service access. If something happens, I know garbage trucks use it, get in and out. Rocky's concern is that, it's been there, people have been allowed to do that forever and ever and ever. Your opinion is remove it. I'm somewhere in the middle. I think if people have an option to park on the street, that's where they should park. And it depends on where it is.
Per my recollection, as we toured the properties, every one of them has street access for parking.
Well, you make a good point. I mean, people could load and unload, but yeah. Okay. Michael, what's your thoughts?
Are we talking about a particular property?
No, we're talking about all of them in sort of general. My question was, my comment in general was, as Scott has confirmed, that all of the properties have access to a public right-of-way to park.
Yeah, I mean, as long as there are other reasonable options, I don't think, as a rule, we should allow parking on the park property.
I mean, if somebody wanted to drop something off in their backyard and go through, I don't have any problem with that. Okay, Rocky, your thoughts? Just trying to get all my papers in order here.
I agree generally with the parking conversation. I don't agree with the yard issue.
The yard issue?
And honestly, I mean, I would, and this is probably never going to happen, but we need to completely realign Bluff Street.
Put that on the list.
I mean, it should have been done right the first time. And that's
How
part
far
of the
back
issue.
are we going, '06?
Yeah, before that, probably, I don't know. I don't know how to fix it without addressing that. Those are the tough ones.
Well, that would require
They're all
putting
tough
money in the
ones, but-
budget for that. Well, who knows if there's any transportation, but I was thinking, is the promenade considered to be like the elevator, it's a recreational walkway. I don't think it's classified as a street.
No, but Promenade Street is, apparently, because we have addresses on it. So we've conceded it's a street.
What's your pleasure? We have some of the property owners sitting in the back of the room glaring at us. which I would probably be doing it too if I was sitting back there, so.
I'm not opposed to hearing any comments
Yeah, I
from them.
you know, part of what we're faced with is that this is a public amenity that belongs to everybody in the city. And prior to this discussion about the charter park, I would say there was an assumption that people could kind of do whatever. Not whatever, but most, I mean, except for setting fires, that was a problem. 524 High Street, but, so there's been some long-standing assumption, oh, we can just be here, this is, you know. And I know that when Phil Lewis was here, he had the park surveyed, and a number of the property owners along that particular stretch removed the survey stakes. And that didn't mean that it wasn't there. I mean, we know where it is, and if we're going to be able to do anything to enhance that area, then we have to deal with the parking. And if there's a reasonable alternative for people to park elsewhere, we should try to make that happen. I think it's, you know, we're balancing private interest with public interest, and how do we weigh that? And that's the situation.
Okay, well, maybe I stated it wrong by just saying realigning Bluff Street, but I think we do need to look at Bluff Street and figure out if that's a street, which we acknowledge, the city put it in. The city decided where to put it, and essentially, in my mind, doing so illustrated where they thought the park should be or where it shouldn't be, whether or not legally it was or not. So I have a problem with that. The other problem is if it is a public street, then we should have some way to figure out the parking. So if it's not realigning the street, it's at least looking at that street and figuring out how to make it work better and utilizing our property in the best way, or figuring out the parking issue, or figuring out how to balance that. I don't know what the answer is. It's super complicated. But I feel like the city has some obligation to help fix that because we put the street in.
Well, I suspect before it was paved, I bet you it was just dirt.
Well, of course
back
it was,
in the day.
but
And
that
they just-
even more acknowledges
I know.
the fact that we committed to a damn street.
Well, I don't know, is, in your review of the plat, are any of those platted? I mean, I have the plat of
It
Oregon
doesn't
City.
matter, we have
Well,
addresses on it.
well,
I mean, we've got
I
people
understand
with
that.
addresses to that street.
I'm asking a technical question. I don't
doubt it.
I don't have the plat of Oregon City in my mind, although I have one in my house and I could probably look at it, but I'm just saying.
Actually, I do have some recollection. Jim DeCita probably would know the answer to that question. I think Promenade Street is on some maps way back. I don't know.
Tony's looking. I mean, that's a question. I mean, you're talking about, it's a street.
Well, I'm just saying, this is the same dumb conversation of whether it's a park or not. If it has a sign in it that says it's a damn park, it's a park in my mind. I don't care how we argue it. But if we have addresses that say they're to that street, then it's a street.
I'm asking the question. Was it part of the original plat?
I don't know the answer to that, but like I said, Jim DeCita probably does know the answer to that question, and he's got his hand up right now. Maybe we can answer.
I'm just looking at staff because I'm trying to figure out whether he's looked up the plat. I look at it every day, you know, at my house.
I've looked, I think there's pieces of it listed, but I don't know.
Hang on. You put your hand down. I'll call you if we get there. Thank you. I don't want your arm. I don't want all the blood to rush out of your arm. Can we look it up on our tablets?
Trying. Well, we're looking at that. I have a concern
Yes.
about repair / replacement of the stairs and deck.
Okay.
And it seems to me that if it doesn't increase the size of the encroachment, that there comes a time on this property or the other ones that have wood, it's gonna have to be replaced. I mean, we live in an area where that stuff falls apart after a while. I think somebody should be able to replace it
Does the
without
letter-
expanding the footprint.
Yeah, does the letter say that it has to be removed?
It says alteration isn't allowed, I think. I forget the exact word.
Well, I asked the question, I said, does that include routine and ordinary maintenance?
Well, I think there's a difference between routine and ordinary maintenance and replacement.
I agree.
Okay. And I think you should be able to replace it if that's the,
Well, to me, if you have to replace parts of it, and that's part of routine and ordinary maintenance, then I think that should be allowed to happen. Now, for some unforeseen circumstances, the house burns down to the ground, well, then they can't put that cannot be put back. So I know where you're coming from, so. Jim, do you want to come up while we're trying to find the plat?
well, on OC Web Maps, Promenade Street is on the map.
Well, that's OC Maps, I'm talking about the plat, back from 1844. That's what I meant by plat. Back to the point of beginning. What was Dr. McLaughlin's intent when he platted that area?
It's an interesting, it's like little grasses, and then in very small writing, which it's hard because there's all kinds of vacation notes on this plat.
I look it up.
All the open or vacant space in front of these blocks are donated for a public promenade, and that's what it says.
Yep.
So you have High Street, then you have the single row of homes, and then you have the promenade. So that's what it is written on it. It's not a plat note like we would traditionally see.
That's what I was remembering from looking at the plat. Everything in front of that was dedicated to the public. Okay, Jim, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So a couple of points on the street question. First of all, and I shared this with Damon a couple months ago, when the city vacated the little lot that they gave to the VFW back in the late 1940s, the ordinance that they passed, which has never been repealed as far as I know, actually defined the Mcloughlin Promenade as a street. And I don't think the city would define the Mcloughlin Promenade as a street just for the purposes of the VFW. If they were going to define the Mcloughlin Promenade as a street, I think they were referring to the entirety of the Mcloughlin Promenade. So I've never found anything else besides that in an ordinance like that. Secondly, if you look at some of the deeds for the prominent property owners, I think mine also is like this. When you look at the legal descriptions and they have the meets and bounds, they actually, they say, 60 feet or 30 foot back from Bluff Street. They don't say the Mcloughlin Promenade Park, they say Bluff Street or Promenade Street. So the deeds define the promenade as a street as well. As far as the plat, if you look at the plat, like San Francisco and a lot of other areas, cities with a lot of topography, you plop down a grid, over varying topography. And so historically, the Mcloughlin Promenade right-of-way is not, it's weird because the east side of that right-of-way is, on the promenade, but the west side of that right-of-way is down on Railroad Avenue. And if my recollection serves me well, there were, back in the 19th century, what is now Railroad Avenue was called Bluff Street. All right, so they were referring to the entirety of the right-of-way back then, above and below, as a street, because that's what, that's basically what the plat indicates, is that, you know, it is a street right-of-way, just kind of overlaid upon topography. It makes things very complicated. But, so I think you have at least 3 indicia, and there might be in city code as well, as far as like, I don't think, like, for example, setback requirements in the city code, I don't think anything says that you have to have 5 feet back from the Mcloughlin Promenade. They say you have to have 5 feet setback from the street. So how are you going to enforce that setback ordinance unless you do consider, you know, the promenade as a street, so you can apply the setback ordinance to it? So I guess that would be 4 indicia that it's a street, as well as a park. How they defined promenade in the 19th century,
We don't know.
beats me.
Seance.
I think that's, I agree.
Seance.
It's the public promenade component, because you don't see that for High Street, 5th Street, 4th Street, 3rd Street, right? And I think we might have discussed this a while back, you know, the Seaside Promenade. You know, is that treated as a street, or is it a transportation corridor? Is it a park? You know, I think we're lacking, you know, how do we define a promenade? Because I do think it is different than what you see in a typical right-of-way vacation. Yeah, and I think, zoning code, we would take setbacks from the property line, but you get into an issue of, you know, what's your front facing, which is your street. I mean, yeah, I mean, this is an anomaly along this section here as to, you know, what is a public promenade? For some reason, they defined it, or they included it for some reason. So yeah, I think it's unclear.
So we want to clear up your concern about the stairs.
Yeah, well, I think we need some clarification on it.
What clarification would you like? Are we in the gray area?
Let's just say, so we have a pre-existing non-conforming use code, right, that deals with, you know, setbacks or uses, you know, so, you know, a pre-existing non-conforming use, right? I think we would struggle on the property line issue, just because, you know, building code, you know, building over a property line, you know, but I think typically upon, you know, destruction, you know, I think it depends on how, right? Accidental destruction, you can usually rebuild your pre-existing non-conforming. But I'm not sure you're entitled to encroachment onto another property. And what complicates this is that if this was private property to private property, you'd probably go through an adverse possession claim. Like if the property that you're encroaching on doesn't make a claim, you could potentially make that claim. You can't do adverse possession against a public agency. So really this gets into what would you like, right? We've said for the shed, you know, if the shed is destroyed, it needs to be rebuilt, it needs to be moved out of the promenade and comply with the code.
Okay, then this should be handled the same way then, to be consistent. That's what I'm just trying to get to on all of these things is.
They're so unique and different.
I know,
Yes.
but we got to be as consistent as we can.
My question for you then is, let's say that the stairs are removed. How does access to that part of the house happen? I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of I don't know if that's the front door or the side door. I'm trying to remember now in my head.
I think that might be a question for the homeowner.
Yes.
The address could also tell you that.
Well, that doesn't mean that's where, that
Well,
we have people whose houses are advertised one way and they
I know.
use the back.
I know.
So, my house is a very complicated matter. It was originally just one story. In '95, the people bought it on spec, lifted it up off the posts and piers, made it about, 4 feet higher off the ground, put down a slab, put down a perimeter stud wall, and then set back the house down on it. I have found a picture of my house prior to that happening. At the time, when it was lower off the ground, when you came out the front door, you would go down steps to 3rd Street.
Okay.
When they raised the house, that's when they built, in 1995, 96, the front steps. If I were forced to remove those front steps now, essentially, I would not be able to get into the front of my house. My main entrance is on Bluff Street. Okay, so it's just, that's
Thank you.
it's kind of, I would float the legal concept of easement by implication, which you can do against the city government.
Well, and this is part of my concern with some of these are 1995, we let that happen.
Well, did we? Did
Well, we sure as hell did.
People did a lot of stuff without
So we
permits,
were
let me
still,
just tell you.
well, but we still let it happen.
Well, we don't know all.
That's way too late
Yeah.
to not know what's going on in your park.
I encounter it every day, Rocky. There are things that we don't know about. Not saying we, you, us, but, okay, what do you want to do?
Doesn't mean we shouldn't know about it.
I agree, that doesn't mean we shouldn't know about it, but we can't be everywhere all the time. What would you like to do about this?
I don't know.
Well, you just changed your mind again, so.
No, I think the homeowner should have the right to rebuild that stairway. Any of the, not just this particular one, but any of these where we're allowing a deck or stairs, they ought to be able to rebuild them. If they need to be rebuilt without changing it the way, like for like.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with that.
Okay. And my question then is, does our letter allow that?
I believe it allows for maintenance if the whole stair
Fell
burns
off.
down, the whole house burns down, the stairs can't go back where they are. But treads can be replaced, posts can be replaced,
Just the stairs
just
burned
so
down.
long as you're maintaining exactly what you have, that is allowed.
Okay.
Then it should be.
But if it's destroyed, then
It's gone.
gone.
Okay. Does that answer your question?
Yep.
Okay.
If you wanted to say something different, we can make it say something different.
Okay, so what about the parking? We're talking about everybody's parking. The comment, we've had a couple of options. No parking, some parking. It's been acknowledged that people do have the option to park elsewhere.
If there's options to, well, okay. This gets into a bigger discussion. And it even ties back to what the state has done to us as far as requiring parking. Quote-unquote on-street parking is becoming the only option in some places, and our code does not allow that for more than 72 hours. So if we think about that, this spot, and we say, well, they can park on the street, but then are we going to come along every 72 hours and tell them they have to move their
The
car?
McLaughlin neighborhood has a residential parking permit program.
So this could be,
People just they can get one from.
get a permit to park on the
Right,
street
right.
longer term?
It's a sticker or whatever it is.
And
that goes
that, and
here.
that could happen here?
Everybody can apply for one.
Okay.
I had one for my second vehicle that was parked on the street.
Okay. All right, then I don't have a problem with that, with disallowing parking on park property.
Further comments? Rocky's brain is thinking. I can see the wheels turning. So you guys want to say anything? It's going to be your last chance. I'm getting tired, and I want to be fair to everybody. It's been a long day, but this is my job. Yeah, you can turn the other one on. They both turn on.
This one's already on. So one thing was
Name,
Josh,
number? Yeah.
311 High Street. Sorry.
Full name, Josh. I
Josh
mean, I know
Adams.
you, but for the record, it's got to be on the
Thank
record.
you.
Sorry.
So one thing that was brought up was reasonable parking available. And as I discussed at the last meeting, we have an apartment to the north. Their only access is street parking, and there's 17-ish units. So they have High Street pretty much consumed. Our neighbor to the south has 3 or 4 cars. They park on High Street, and then they also park parallel on Bluff Street. So our available parking might be 2 or 3 blocks away coming home from work. And is that reasonable, or what is reasonable in your definition?
I did not personally use the word reasonable, so, but that's okay.
I believe
Anything
you
else?
did. We don't have a driveway. So that leaves our only access as street parking. So again, are we supposed to park 2 to 3 blocks away to get into our house? And lastly, who's going to maintain it if we don't? If we're not parking there, we're not maintaining it. I know you've mentioned in the past that parks should be maintaining it, but they don't.
No?
We're gone during the day. They could maintain it. We don't have cars parked there during the day every day, but they don't. There's no sprinklers, so it's just dead grass. Thus far, we've maintained it, and we'll continue to do so. We volunteer in the park to take care of the park. We care about the park that we live next to, and a lot of our neighbors do too. So we want what's fair, but we also want to be able to use our property and be able to access our property.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I can't make any motion, so it's up to you guys. This is one of the reasons why I don't like the state's parking requirements. Say we don't have to have parking when our neighborhood has constrained parking. We might have to do more parking enforcement on there if they don't have a residential parking permit.
I've lost track of where we are.
I was just going to say, I clicked around.
Parking.
Right, specific property address that we're at right now.
That's the one that's on, what number is that, Alex? I'm flipping.
Are we talking about Mr. Adams'
Josh's
property? Yeah, I think that one is,
I think it's 13.
yeah, 13. And this one, there's no letter prepared because there was no direction given at the work session.
Again, I thought this was the one where there was the recreational immunity issue, so.
No, that was 118 Promenade is who brought that up.
Did they sign
They did not.
118?
No.
Okay, I guess I'll say this one more time in a different way. I don't know how we fix some of these issues without fixing Bluff Street. And it may cost us some money, but it's always going to be a street. If we don't fix it when we fix this park, it will not be fixed. I've done a couple doodles. I don't know what we can do, but there's got to be a better way to deal with that street, how it moves through the park. Right now, the Bluff Street turns out towards the bluff to bypass a big set of trees. But if that street was aligned parallel with High Street, more so than it is now, and only making that turn out for those trees, it would create a parallel property line that would be matching for most of those property owners in that situation, rather than debating one house gets 3 feet for a front yard that the city doesn't maintain versus one house that gets 10 feet of parking that's not maintained by the city. The only way to make this equitable is to make that road straight in as best we can, which hopefully would allow a little bit more park space, which is the whole purpose of doing this, and figure out and try to make some fix for the future, because that street's always going to be there unless it's fixed some way. It's always going to be an issue. If we're going to fix it, we fix it all at once and get it over with. Other than that, I don't know how I can vote on those.
I guess I don't disagree that at some point we could and should take a look at Bluff Street. I just don't know if that's necessary for the purposes of what we're doing today.
Unless someone has this, I guess I'm looking for a scenario in which we make these consistent decisions, but I don't know how to do that.
Each one of them is quite a bit different.
Oh,
Clearly. And that's where my brain is going. I mean,
but that's not.
I'm going to call out 118 because that's the one that really got me. I don't want to allow parking there. They have options for parking. If they hadn't done what they did and kept expanding, I might feel a lot different about it. But they've been notified over and over again, and I'm sorry if I'm picking on them, but it just really makes me cross that.
Which one is that?
This 118 is one where they put the brick all the way out there, and we went up there. We looked at that.
I'm just trying to find it.
The picture has the car parked there.
Definitely different than the ones I'm talking about.
Yeah, this is, we're saying that they can keep the landscaping to the west and the drip irrigation, but that we asked for all the brick stuff beyond their property line gets removed. And I'm sure they're going to say, well, what's the difference between that and Josh and Jenna's property? Well, there's a lot of difference between those two.
I agree that there are some differences between them, and some of the parking encroachments are more egregious than others. Again, for consistency, I don't support any parking in there. I mean, we wouldn't grant folks the ability to park in the grass at Wesley Lynn Park. Why would we allow it in this one?
Do we have the option of stepping up our maintenance at Promenade? I mean, I volunteer there, not as much as I used to, but infrequently I'm out there doing stuff. Do we have that option? Yes or no? You can nod your head, Mr. Archer. Maybe. Okay. Well, I wouldn't want a bunch of dead grass next to my property, obviously considering that's possibly a fire hazard. Even though we don't allow smoking in our parks, I still see sometimes people walking on the promenade who are smoking. Well, Scott has an all or nothing, so Let's throw a motion out there and see where we go.
Can't smoke on your own porch either, because it's in the park.
Well, my porch isn't, but I don't smoke, so I don't think that's an issue for me. We're not, I can tell you this, no matter what we do, somebody's not gonna be happy.
Right.
That's kind of where we are. That's why we get paid the big bucks.
So are we back to looking at the properties now individually and making motions?
If that is your pleasure, yes, we can do that. Or we can make one sweeping motion and say, this is not going to happen, and we'll have to spend some money signing it saying no parking, which I suspect we'd have to do. So would you like to go through them individually?
I don't recall if any of them have, we've granted time exemptions on removal of some items. And I want to ensure that if appropriate, any of the ones that we're talking about disallowing parking would be granted time exceptions for removal as we've granted other properties. So
Alex, so we've got,
I think we have to go back.
12, 11, 7, 6.
I think we go back to number 5, 302 Bluff.
I've got it
There's
sorted in
7.
order.
Yeah,
So we going back to number 5?
Yes.
Let's go back to number 5. Okay.
So I would say back to 302 Bluff Street, I'll give my original motion, which is to approve the letter as written with the removal of permission for parking.
Is there a second? Three, two, one. Okay, just to get it on the floor, I'll second the motion.
Commissioner Wilson.
Aye.
Commissioner Mitchell.
Aye.
Commissioner Smith.
No.
Mayor McGriff.
And I'm going to have to vote no.
Motion fails.
We need another motion.
Did Rocky vote?
Okay, let's move on to this and we'll come back. We have 6.
306 Promenade.
We got all the stuff that has to be moved off.
Are all the addresses really different? Some say Bluff Street and some say Promenade Street?
It depends on what the name of the LLC is. There's the one that has, it's on Promenade.
No,
but
it depends on what the name of the damn street is.
Well,
Well, on the web map,
It says
this area,
Love Street.
OC web maps.
Yeah.
the-
I mean, can they use either one and it
no,
works?
I don't know.
There's
Some
a
addresses are, see, that needs to be
There's a
fixed.
portion that says Promenade Street, and there's a different portion that
Section that
says
says-
Bluff Street.
Well, these houses are right next door to each other on the same segment and they're different streets.
And I'm just saying what the map says.
I get it, but we gotta fix that. It's the same damn street.
How many properties are there that have this parking issue that we're trying to
7.
deal with?
There's 7 that have the parking issue.
Okay.
And then we have 1 that has, if you wanted the owners to pay any portion of the survey work. That one does not have a parking issue.
Okay, let's go back and deal with that one.
That would be.
515 High.
51, it's number 10, 515
They offered to
High.
pay, then they said, oh, unless other people have offered to pay, we don't want to pay, unless other people, nobody else offered to pay. That's why I recommended 50%. They offered. I actually talked to her 3 weeks ago. They were still in the offer to pay. So I'm willing to go 50%.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Commissioner Wilson.
Aye.
Commissioner Mitchell.
Aye.
Commissioner Smith.
Aye.
Mayor McGrath.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Woo! Got one off. All right, let's go back. We did that one. We did that one. Did that one. Did that one. All right, let's go back and let's talk about is number 7 one of the parking ones?
Yes, 406
Yes.
Promenade.
I believe this one has a lot that's next to them, but I don't believe they own it. Maybe they do now, I don't know. But we wouldn't allow them to build a parking lot, so I don't know about that. I'm sure that when we've gone by there, I've not personally seen any cars there, and the people that lived there, that I knew them, they never parked their car there. I don't know where they parked it, but it wasn't in the promenade. So we're allowing for the encroachment of the deck stairs, but the picket fence, the sign, potted plants, decorative landscaping features all have to go.
And what are we saying about the parking?
I didn't say anything about the parking.
Okay.
But there's a fairly large area there. For some reason, I didn't print that letter. I don't know why. I printed everything else. Any thoughts? Motion? Okay, let's see. That is 406.
I'll make a motion to approve the letter with the amendments of removing permission for parking and extending the timeline to remove items to 120 days.
Second.
Commissioner Wilson.
Aye.
Commissioner Mitchell.
Aye.
Commissioner Smith.
No.
Mayor McGrath.
Aye.
Motion passes.
This is one of those where they never. All right, that's number 7. We already dealt with number 8, correct?
No, I did
Okay, I
not.
thought they,
408 Promenade.
is that a parking one in addition to the encroachment of the steps?
Yes.
I think this is the one where the two houses are back to back and it looks like one of them faces High Street and the other one faces Promenade.
Correct.
No response from property owners. Want to make your motion again?
Make a motion to approve the letter with the amendment of removing permission for parking.
Second.
Can I ask a question before we vote?
Sure.
The diagonal parking that's along this side,
That's the street
Who's-
right away. That's part of the street that runs through there.
okay, it doesn't belong to whatever, is
That
that
office
421?
No, I believe that's the office building.
Is it their parking or is it
Yes.
street parking?
No, I'm pretty sure that's theirs.
I mean, not a street right away there.
There is a street right away there, but I believe that parking is on their property.
The parking is what?
The diagonal parking on the side of the building
Uh-huh.
belongs to that office building.
Belongs to the office, okay.
There is a small right-of-way through there, connecting High Street along those homes. Well, I'm not even sure if that's right-of-way. There's a road connection. It looks like it may have been an old alley.
Yeah, because it would have gone through the whole lot.
Yeah, I'm looking at the aerial and,
It would have gone through.
yeah, the parking looks like it's on their property, but there is looks like a partial right of way in there. Well, there's, an option to get off after hours parking, I don't know. Require them to do something since we never heard back from them at all. Letter. This is what I mean. This is why I like having it in, because you have to keep going back and forth and reopening it and doing all that.
I do wonder if they had their right-of-way vacated.
So in these areas like this, where this says there's a paved area for vehicle parking use, we're going to go out and put a sign up that says no parking?
What did you mean in the letter where it says additional areas have been paved for vehicle parking use?
I believe that's just what the survey said when we got the information back.
Okay, it just makes it sound like somebody paved it, but anyway. Well, what's the pleasure?
I guess on this one, I don't know if we need to revisit it. On the plat, it looks like the right-of-way may have been vacated.
Yeah, I know we do. We're still having discussion.
Looks like that alley may have been vacated. So I'm not sure of where they would have access.
Yeah, I don't know if it, yeah.
So,
But if it's been vacated, that means half of it went to the office building and half of it went to this property and the other property that's in front of it facing High Street.
Correct.
so all of it was vacated?
He said it appears to be.
We're gonna have to go find the
Okay,
vacation
so I don't know
ordinance.
how we continue with any of these until to have a
Well,
discussion.
there's a motion and a second on the floor, so let's
I
get the
don't
motion
care.
off the floor.
So we essentially have a street that dead ends because we've vacated the right of way to even get to the street that they live on.
I don't have the answer to that question.
It's a dead end street. We gotta fix the street before we fix these. Because if that street was fixed in parallel with the street grid, you could add parallel parking in the front of these people's houses all the way down that.
Yeah, well, I supported you
If we
on making this a
vacated
charter
this,
park.
then this part of Bluff Street dead ends, doesn't go anywhere. why the city would make that stupid decision, I don't know.
Well,
Because how,
why did they
why
put
would
the
you-
McDonald's in the middle of the property that we have on?
we know the answer to that. and it's
I
Munn
know,
Street.
I was there.
We know the answer to that.
I was there and I recommended against it. Okay,
But, I
let's,
mean, then
let's
it
let's get
defeats
the
the
motion
purpose
off
if
the
you have
floor.
Wall Street
Either
there.
we're
If you
withdrawing the
can't- if
motion
that
in the
means-
second, or we're voting on it, and we're either
vacated this.
voting it up or down.
I don't remember what it was now.
It was to have the letter go as written with removal of parking. That was the motion. So if we want to hold this one out, let's vote it down, get the motion off the floor, or withdraw.
Vacate this if that's already vacated.
Okay, I'm going to call for the roll.
Commissioner Wilson,
Aye.
Commissioner Mitchell,
No.
Commissioner Smith,
No.
Mayor McGriff.
No. We
Motion
need to find
passed.
out whether this has been vacated or not before we can answer that question. So we're holding out number 8. All right, what's the next one? Number 11. That is those bunch of those houses that are, it's weird over there. So I think when we went over there, there is some access on High Street, and so some of those houses park in between, the ones that face the promenade and the ones that face High Street, but not all, I think is what we discovered when we walked over there.
Yeah, this is the one where it backs up once they pass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can see where the, it's Tumwater Drive down below. The park goes straight that way. And so that's their fronts. So they're parking kind of in that area. Mhm. That's the Grand Bronze property. Okay, anything we want to do with this one? Commission reached consensus during work session on June 10th that access and parking may remain in the encroachment area, but that trailer storage, boat storage must be removed. Acknowledgement letter was part of the packet. I think we have an access issue on number 11.
Access where
Well, they don't have any other way to get to here.
they do their walkways.
Right, so you're saying they could park on High Street and they could walk up to their houses? Well, I say the letter has to be amended, so it's for 120 days for the trailer and boats, and that's, you know, we're not waiting for the guy to die. It's got to go. So we showed that there were commuter vehicle people who were commuting, were parking there, who don't live there. They were just, people were just parking there. That's what the letter says. It says the area between South Bluff and the homes are actively used for access and off-street parking for commuter vehicles as well as recreational vehicle storage.
I would say like personal vehicles.
I think personal.
Yeah.
So is that personal vehicles? I mean, commuter vehicles means that they come in during the morning, they park their car, they go away, they come back.
I think we're trying to differentiate between recreational vehicles that were
Oh, I
being
see,
stored in
okay.
this
Yeah, personal
should be
vehicles would have made more sense to me, but that's okay, because I didn't know what commuter vehicles were. So we're including recreational vehicles, trailers, and boats as being removed?
Correct.
Because it just says trailers and boats, so I'm not assuming a recreational vehicle is a trailer. So you probably need to add recreational vehicles. Okay, where do we want to go with this one? We're all looking at the map. I'm looking at the map. I think what threw me off with this one is, of course, it's a flat next to the VFW. Is it, where is that?
Access and parking.
Motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the letter amending timeline for removal of items to 120 days and removing permission for parking.
I'm not going to second it because I want all the crap gone, but I'm sort of okay with the parking, but because I can't really see a big option there.
And I'm not seconding any of the rest of them or voting yes on any of the rest of them, as I've stated before.
Let's see if I can find the map here. Nope, I got the letter under the map.
I'm afraid we're, on this parking thing,
we're at an impasse.
Well, we're making a bigger mess than.
Yes, we are. I totally agree with you.
I think we need to figure out another way to handle these.
I gave you a possible option.
Well,
we address the street.
I understand. The whole premise of this was to comply with the request to designate this as a charter park. And we knew we had all these encroachments, which is why we went down this road, so to speak, metaphorically. It's why we went down this promenade. How about that? I don't know if we have the option to do anything about fixing the street. It's not in the budget.
We have the option to do anything we want.
I understand.
And we're the only commission that's going to do it.
I know we are.
If it's not, I mean, look
I'm
at
not ready to pass this on to anybody else.
I mean, we knew this wasn't going to be easy. We're all committed to it. I don't think any of us have changed our feeling about the importance of making this a park. I'm just saying, there's been mistakes clearly. We can fix them. We have every right to fix any of this that we want to or not. We'll hand it down to some other commission. But what I really have a problem with is telling people that all of their option is street parking except for the street that they live on that we built.
Would you like to make?
I have a real problem with that.
To table these parking issues.
And so with all these, even the one that exists that we just talked about, I'm willing to acknowledge that gravel road is just as much an acknowledgement of a road as the paved road that the city put in. I think we have to look at that roadway and see if there's, and I'm not saying maybe tear the whole thing up and redo it, but there's got to be ways that we can fix some of the issues on that road. Find area and make it so that that roadway is equitable frontage along some of those properties that we can say, well, we know we're not gaining any park back because that pavement's there, but if we take some of that pavement out and move the street in some sections a little closer and put some parallel parking there in the front of those houses. If you would make a motion
to table this, I would be happy to second it.
I mean, it's going to be a separate thing that we can discuss and look at, but I want to look at it.
Okay, then make a motion to that effect, and I will second the motion that we table this to look further at the parking issue with regard to the properties that are left.
And does that include the ones where we've already made the decision about parking?
We already made that. We already made those decisions.
So we want to. So we only did one.
Right.
That had parking. It was the 406 Promenade. So do we want to back that one out and treat it the same?
I would be interested in doing that.
I would prefer to back it out.
He never responded.
Because then we still have. So I think we have 8. I'm sorry. 7 properties that have parking. So we would table those 7.
Just the parking part. The rest of the letter needs to go out for them to get their stuff out of the promenade.
Well, I don't think we want to send 2 letters.
Yeah.
Oh,
We send
the
them.
parking is separate. In my opinion, the parking is
But if you
separate.
send somebody a letter and then if we come back with another letter later,
You think we're going to do it that fast? I'm not confident.
Actually, no, I don't think we're going to do anything that fast.
I want the stuff that we identified needs to be removed. I think that we told everybody else they had to remove their stuff.
Ms. Richter, do you have an opinion on this?
Well, what are we going to say about the parking in the letter that we send today?
We are looking at other options for parking or other alternatives for parking.
I would wait.
The parking and the stuff are not commingled. The stuff can be removed.
I appreciate what you're saying, and we'll do what you instruct us to do. One of the challenges is the lack of consistent messaging, and I would urge the commission to be consistent in the messaging so that you've got some people who've signed this agreement, you have some people who haven't, you have, we're going to send out another handful of letters. And that's fine, but we don't want to create more confusion.
Carrie, we gave everybody ample opportunity to respond to us in some way. And there are some people who absolutely refuse to acknowledge anything, period.
Once again, we will send
I
as many
understand. I'm
letters
just
as
saying,
you
I-
like. Just please make a motion to what you'd like, and we will follow through with it.
I just feel very strongly about the things that are not part of the park. They should be removed, period.
Understood. We don't get a vote.
That's phase 1.
I understand.
We are trying to be reasonable and equitable and deal with the parking situation, and I like your idea of taking a look at that. To me, those are 2 separate things. Garbage cans in the right-of-way don't have anything to do with parking. I'm just saying, to you guys. So I don't understand how they're the same thing. If you have an illegal sign in the promenade, what does that have to do with parking?
The concern that I have, if we're going to send people a letter that says, here are the decisions we have made about encroachments on your property, and we don't somehow address, oh, by the way, we may loop back and talk to you again about parking at a future
That goes in
date.
the letter.
I'm uncomfortable with it, but we for sure have to spell it out in the letter.
Yeah, absolutely, which I think can be done. Other people are going to have to remove their stuff. So let's just get a motion so we can vote, because I think we're kind of at the end of our rope with this. I know I am.
Why don't we, I agree. I think everyone's frustrated. Why don't we table these? We can come back and have the discussion about what letters we're going to send, who's going to get them. You get to have time to think about it. We can talk with Public Works. Is there a way to more formally, have a little structure to how the parking is and be clear, this is an interim until some final design and funding is identified. Instead of having a free-for-all, maybe it's you have one spot and here's your parallel parking spot and it's going to be defined. We could do something like that if you're interested in considering that.
That was something I was going to suggest, is some way of defining, or kind of to Commissioner Smith.
Oh, please.
I'm sorry. It's late. To Commissioner Smith's comment. We kind of look and we assume where would the alignment be of that street if we were going to make, and we handle on the away from the park side of it, of where that alignment should be differently.
I guess
And not allow any kind of encroachment, parking or anything else on the other side of where that street would ideally be. But I like the idea of specifying. So I'll make a motion to table the 7?
Correct.
Locations where we have outstanding parking issues.
and rescind the approval of 406 Promenade?
That's one of the 7?
Correct.
Yeah.
I'll second that but I guess maybe I'll make a separate motion. I'll second that.
Okay, on the motion?
Commissioner Wilson.
Aye.
Commissioner Mitchell.
Aye.
Commissioner Smith.
Aye.
Mayor McGriff.
Abstain.
Motion passes.
At the next meeting, I would really like to know more details on the right-of-way connections from Bluff Street or Promenade Street to High Street. Every one of those connections that exist, which ones we vacated, which ones we haven't. Because I think that's crucial to knowing how that street works.
I do think you're right.
And I cannot believe we would have vacated any of those, but I've been shocked by other decisions this city has made.
Okay. Anything else? So we have one, I have one, any communications from staff?
Not tonight, no.
Any communications from the commission? By the way, thank you to all of you for coming to Neighbors Night Out last night. It was great.
And congratulations
great
to our
event.
police department and all involved. That was a great event.
And Patty. The other thing I wanted to add to mine before I deal with the appointment is that also acknowledging the superb job that Public Works, City Hall, Police Department did with First City. It was just great. And, you know, our staff does a great deal of work that I think the public doesn't always acknowledge and takes for granted. And our staff is out there day in and day out doing stuff for the community. I mean, I was talking to Wes Wilson, one of our supervisors, and he had a smile on his face while he's pulling the big barriers. So, you know, thank you to all the staff for all you do, and all the staff at Parks for Concerts in the Park. You guys do an amazing job. I was too tired to stay for the movie, but I heard it was very successful.
Yeah, it was great.
How was it?
Great.
Good, awesome. And thank you to all those sponsors. I thanked every single one of them that was there, and it's appreciated. So we have I don't know if it got back out to everybody, but I kindly asked our chamber director to amend his minutes that he sent, because it just said that we approved it, and I said, well, if you had a motion and somebody made the motion and they seconded it, you should have that in your minutes and make sure that we know that that happened. So they're recommending that Betty Munn be approved as a representative replacing Petronella Donovan on the Transportation Advisory Committee. And if you're okay with that, I will go ahead and make that appointment. Everybody's okay? All right. Thank you. And thank you all. We just had a very difficult discussion. Not that we haven't had them in the past, but this is, as I said earlier, Commissioner Smith brought this to us many months ago, years ago, that we needed to designate Promenade as a park. And I totally am on board with that. We need to do it. And again, this is a park for the city. And I'm sorry if there was some discomfort from some of you in the audience, but I will say this. Thank you for at least responding, because I got really annoyed, and I'm sorry I got annoyed. People that just don't respond to anything is really, when staff really went out of their way to make sure that everybody had an opportunity to be heard, and it just really is discouraging to me when you hear nothing. So, being no further business, thank you, gentlemen. Thanks for all wearing your shirts. I'm sure that we're sporting our K9 Friends group, and wearing the shirts, and people want them, please contact OCPD, support that. Thank you so much.